yet we have half the smog. 4 times the cars and half the smog. Give yourselves a hand for that one too. How do we do it? We did it with catalytic converters, combined cycle gas turbines, spray paint booths, people taking public transportation in natural gas buses, people taking electric, blue line, green line, red line, people taking public transportation. That fleet got much cleaner over the years through the efforts of Antonio Villaraigosa is one of the first people that really took a stand for us to get that clean fuel bus fleet. And now we can go further and further and get cleaner and cleaner fuels than that. But 4 times the cars and half the smog, that's extraordinary. We can do this. The Cuyahoga River does not catch fire anymore. I'm happy to report that to you. The Hudson River is so polluted that these Vietnam veterans came home and they wanted to return to their line of work, and they couldn't do it because their line of work was fishing. And they got together in American Legion Hall. My friend Bobby Kennedy tells this story. They got together in American Legion Hall in the 60s, and they said, we're fed up. We've gone to all the local governments, the state government, the federal government, and we want to work. We can't. We don't want to be unemployed. We got to fix this ourselves. They were going to put dynamite on a raft. They had a plan. We're going to put dynamite on a raft and put it up into the outfall pipe of Penn Central, one of the bigger polluters, and blow it up so it backed up onto their property and teach them a lesson. They'd probably still be in jail today. Fortunately, they didn't do that because it was a radical idea, and there was another radical in the room by the name of Bob Boyle. He's a radical from a radical publication known as Field and Stream. And Bob Boyle said, you guys are talking about breaking the law. What about enforcing the law? They looked at him like he was insane. What law are you talking about? This is the 60s. There was no Clean Water Act back then, folks. I said, what law are you talking about, Bob? They said, there's an 1885 Safe Harbors and Rivers Act. And if we sue Penn Central and we win, we keep half the money, and we can hire a good lawyer and start a group and try to clean up the whole river. And the Hudson River Keeper was born. And John Cronin was involved, and Pete Seeger was involved, and later Bobby Kennedy got involved and told me this story. Now it's one of the most productive fisheries in the Northeast, the Hudson River. It has been cleaned up to a large extent. Give yourselves a hand for that too, because you all had a role in that. This is what we can do. And again, don't get hung up with the stuff that you cannot afford. People all the time say, well, I can't do that. I can't afford this big ticket item or that. Start it the same way I did in 1970. Pick the low-hanging fruit first. Get the energy-efficient light bulbs. Get the weather stripping around your doors and windows. Ride a bike when weather and fitness permit. Take public transportation if it's available near you. Home gardening, home composting. Get rid of those water bottles. It's much cheaper. Get yourself a filter and stop. Bottled water is more expensive than gasoline. It's expensive stuff. And do those kinds of things that are really going to save you money right away. There's an old saying, whiskey's for drinking, but water's for fighting. And we're going to have some fights over water in the future because, thank God, we're having all this wonderful rainfall now, which we desperately need. But I don't think it's going to long-term change the drought, unless it rains a lot between now and May, and I hope it does. But we have to really be careful with water use because we get a lot of our water from elsewhere. We're dipping our straw into somebody else's, water somewhere in another part of the state. And we have to begin being more efficient with our water here. And I've done some things around my house that are extraordinary. I just put in a gray water system. So I've been collecting my rainwater for a while with a rain barrel, a very inexpensive way to do it. And now I've got a much bigger system, a 550-gallon tank buried under the ground. I had to do this for Rochelle. She hated the look of the rain barrel. It's orange, it's ugly. I said, I'll paint it. She said, it's not good enough, it's still ugly. So I buried a tank underground, 550 gallons. I put my rainwater there and my gray water. And what gray water, for those people who don't know, gray water is the water from the shower, from the laundry, from the bathtub, and the bathroom sinks. It's not black water. It's not water from the toilet. It's not water from the garbage disposal. That's very hard water to clean. But that other water is pretty easy to clean. So we put it through a 600 micron filter, then to take out all the lint and the hair and soap, then a 200 micron filter, and then we put it through activated charcoal, then coal, then a UV light to kill the bacteria. By the time we're done, it's pretty clean water. And I can use it to irrigate my whole property, all my fruit trees and my vegetables and everything that needs to be actually irrigated my property. And think of the amount of water that just fell on Los Angeles. 70-some-odd% of it goes right out to the sea. We need to do it the way nature has been doing it for many, many millions of years, to capture that water, return it to the aquifer so we can use it again and make sure it's clean, make sure we don't have poison going into our water. Keep those toxins out. If they do get in there, stop buying the bottled water, get a water filtration system. Again, I'll be over at Life Source. They have a wonderful whole house water filter system, so you're even showering or bathing in very clean water, and it's a great, great system. So thank you, Sherry, and everybody at Life Source for having that great, great system. It's so much cheaper than bottled water, too. It's a good money-saving thing. So there's so much we can do, even down to my recycled plastic fence. Believe it or not, that was even a money saver. Rochelle really squawked about that one. I said, honey, I need to put up a fence. I had this old falling down fence from the previous owners. I bought my home in '88. The previous owners put it up in the '70s. So the only way it was standing, the termites were holding hands. And so the neighbors were complaining. I kept trying to sneak to Home Depot and get little tiny brackets and hold it together, because I didn't want to be caught buying wood. I'm always, quit taking down those trees, damn it, no more logging. And then I'm buying 2x4s at Home Depot. I couldn't do it. So I didn't want to buy a new fence, and I found out about recycled plastic. So I got this company to come and put up this fence made out of recycled milk jugs. Rochelle got wind of this idea, and she said, I will divorce you. If I see low fat and barcode in my fence, I said, you won't see any of that. It's all ground up. Leave me alone. She said, what does it cost? Because this was years ago. Money was very tight when I did this in the 90s. She said, we can't afford it. I said, we can't afford not to do it. I'll find the money. And I did. I had the money for it. And I put up this recycled plastic fence. She said, that's a lot of money, and you're wasting your dough. It's crazy. A few years later, the neighbors were out there. I said, honey, come to the window. I want to show you something. What's the neighbor doing out there next door? I don't know. He's painting his fence. Why are you bothering me? I said, what does it take for paint? It costs money and it's time. I just saved a lot there. She said, I know what paint costs and I know what the fence costs. You're still an idiot. It cost you a lot. Goodbye.